Hi, welcome to Slate, your very own school search engine that helps you find the best schools for your kid based on various filters and parameters.
Yeah.
Today, we have Ms. Nuzhad Siddiqua, who's from Sharanya Narayani International School, which is near Hoskote, Whitefield in Bangalore. She's been a teacher of various curricula for the last 11 years. She has experience of teaching IGCSE, ICSE, and now she is a chemistry facilitator for MYP years in IB curriculum. Let's speak to her and understand more about science as a subject and her experience with the school. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am.
Thank you for this opportunity. Of course, it's an absolute privilege to share my journey, my experiences, and my reflections as an educator. And today, I do look forward to taking you through a meaningful interaction that celebrates learning, growth, and the transformative power of education at Sharanya Narayani International School.
That's great, ma'am. Like I mentioned in the beginning, since you have experience of teaching in all the curricula, how do you think IB is different, especially your experience and also what kids' experience of sciences? How do you think it's different?
Well, you see, first of all, I would like to quote Albert Einstein. He said, the most important thing is not to stop questioning, right? Curiosity has its own reason for existence. So, those are the words by Albert Einstein. And at SNIS, every lesson begins with a question rooted in real life, right? Students don't memorize for the sake of exams, but instead they inquire, they explore, and they construct meaning. Right? And interdisciplinary projects empower them to see the profound interconnections between subjects. Like, if I would like to share an analogy here, like in
Yes.
traditional classrooms, students are like butterflies, right? Fluttering from one topic to the next, sipping smaller bits of knowledge before moving on. But in IB classrooms and at SNIs, students are like honeybees, right? They don't just collect nectar, but they collaborate, they cross pollinate ideas, and they return to the hive to create something transformative. That's honey, or you can say knowledge with meaning. So this is the true essence of IB pedagogy. It's not just about the nectar of information, it is about the honey of transformation, I would say.
That's a wonderful analogy. Since you're talking about the interdisciplinary learning, can you take us through
Right.
a real-time example of how kids in MYP tend to combine different subjects and make a meaningful learning out of it?
Yes, of course. So, if you see, one of the most captivating aspects of teaching chemistry in the IB framework is it's designed around questions that have no easy answers, right? Now, IB learners don't just study, for example, say history. They ask, how reliable is history when memory conflicts with evidence? They don't just study science, but they wonder, like, when does a hypothesis become knowledge? And when is it just a speculation, right? Now, the IB flips the classroom. Now, instead of saying, here is knowledge, now apply it, it whispers, here is a complex, beautiful problem. Let's find out what knowledge we need to untangle it. Now, as facilitators, we simply transmit facts, right? We cultivate knowledge architects, students capable of shaping, unshaping, and reshaping ideas across disciplines. So when someone asks me what makes IB different, my response is very clear. IB is not just pedagogy, it's a mindset revolution.
Interesting. And I'm sure parents should also be on the same page to understand and embrace this kind of learning. So, what is your message for parents who are looking for IB curriculum?
Yes.
And what do you think they should be prepared for?
See, what I would suggest to the parents is at the heart of IB lies the commitment to nurturing not just academic excellence, but also skills that transcend the classroom. Like, we focus not only on knowledge, but on developing skills like critical thinking, collaboration, research, self management, and communication. Now, alongside these, the IB learner profiles of students being inquirers, or thinkers, or communicators, or risk takers, they're principled, open minded, caring, balanced, knowledgeable, and reflective. All these serves as guiding beacons, ensuring that every child grows in a compassionate and capable global citizen. So that's what IB fosters, and Sharanya Narayani International School is inclined so much with the vision and mission of IB, and we work for that.
Got it. And since
Right.
Sharanya Narayani International School is a boarding school, how do you think it has an edge over the day scholar schools? And can you talk about the facilities and the kind of infrastructure the school provides?
Yes, of course. Sharanya Narayani International School, it offers a state-of-the-art boarding program, and it is a home away from home where care, comfort, and community blend so seamlessly. So we do have a boarding facility. We have separate modern boarding houses for boys and girls, and each room is shared by, two or three students, or we also have single student room facility, and it is equipped with private bathrooms and flexible options for weekly or regular boarding students. And each child is surrounded by care. So we do have resident teachers, we have dorm parents ensuring 24/7 academic and emotional support, along with us with nutritious vegetarian and non-vegetarian meals cooked and served separately, and providing a wide array of Indian and continental cuisines. 24/7 medical care. We do have robust security. We prioritize students' well being. Beyond academics, boarders enjoy their treks, their outings, their cultural programs, and the weekends are very recreational for them. So ensuring that life here at SNIS is as joyful, maybe it is rigorous due to academic, but we ensure that there's joy in each child's life was here. And this holistic residential experience helps students thrive emotionally, socially, and intellectually.
That's interesting. And speaking about the IB curriculum that we were discussing earlier, since IB doesn't have this orthodox way of assessments like your typical pen and paper
Right.
examinations, a lot of parents have this perception that it's difficult to keep a track of progress of a student. So, for all such parents, what do you have to tell? How is assessments done? And especially at Charanarayani, how do you keep a track of the progress of a child's learning?
Yes. So we do have PYP, that is primary years program. We do have MYP, that is middle years program. And we do also have DP, diploma program. Apart from that, we do also have our early years with nursery and kindergarten and stuff. Now, what sets the IB apart is it is inquiry driven, it has a transdisciplinary approach, okay, and it seamlessly integrates knowledge across subjects, encouraging learners to engage with real world challenges through creativity, discernment, and reflection. Now here assessments are collaborative, they are project based, and they are authentic, ensuring that learning is meaningful and future ready, right? And the teacher here is moreover a facilitator, which is a transformational view, right? And we're not just instructors confined to textbooks, but we are facilitators of curiosity. We spark inquiry, encourage skepticism, and we nurture meaningful connections across disciplines, preparing learners for success, not just in school, but in life. And teaching, learning, and assessments are focused on skills needed to solve real world problems and issues rather than just memorizing facts and repeating them in exams. So we do have assessments where case study is given to students, and students analyze the data, they process and evaluate the data. So mostly learning is across connecting to real life situations.
Great. Can you take us to the finer details of the timeline of this entire evaluation process? Typically, what a student has to go through during this evaluation?
Yeah. So if I talk about MYP in specific, so we do have assessments divided into formative assessments and summative assessments. In formative assessments, we do give them the PBA tasks, right? And now PBA is basically project-based assessment. So, like I said, recently we did have the chemistry PBA, wherein the children were supposed to research and explore more about extraction of metals. And after their thorough research, and we always ensure that children do have their academic integrity, right? And whatever research they do it along attached with the sources, citations. They do follow APA style or MLA format of references. So we ensure with that academic integrity is maintained, right? And now, so since the assessments are divided into formative and summative assessments, formative assessments are mostly related to project-based assessments and a small quick check on certain topics. And it is not just about checking on knowledge, it is checking on their application of knowledge. It is checking on the skills. So that's formative. And even in the summative, basically MYP chemistry itself has been divided into different criterias, right? So we do have four criteria. We have criteria A, that is knowing and understanding, where basically mostly a little part of the knowledge and application part plays an important role. And then we have criteria B, that is inquiring and designing. So we do have students, literally, we do give them a problem question or a research question. And now through that research question or the goal, they find out variables, they make hypotheses, they make a research question out of it, okay, and with proper scientific reasoning. And they come out with a procedure of how to carry out the problem question and how to reach towards the goal. And once they come up with detailed steps, procedures, and then comes the criteria C part, where children do processing and evaluating. So whatever data they would have collected from the experiment, they process and evaluate the data. So how do you take the data and put it in a graph mode, right? And how do you validate your hypothesis? How do you validate the method? And what suggestions or improvements more could have been done for the experiment? So this is the part of criteria C. And a very interesting part which IB also gives is the criterion D. Now, this is impact of sciences in real life. Now, in criterion D, we do impact. For example, if I take an example of mining, so children have to write down. So, what are the different impacts of mining? So, do you know that mining impacts socially, politically, economically, environmentally, health wise? So, there are so many impacts. So, if you just take one topic, right, and the entire topic is being split into these criteria, so it's up to us, the facilitators, that we do assess them based on the topic and on different criteria. So you see the IB has designed itself the four different criterias where an overall development of child is taken, and assessment is basically based on these criterias.
Got it. And especially for parents who are not fully familiar with IB as a curriculum, can you tell us during which dates or what is the academic year generally like? At which time of the year will the academic year start, and by when can you expect the year to end?
So we do start our school by July, mostly the last week of July. And we start by July end. And I think the academic year goes on from July and we end by May. So that is the academic year. So parents are always welcome. So we do not have a very strict rule that the student has to get admitted in July or in the month of August. So, at any part of the time or any part of the year, we do have entrances of the students, and we heartily welcome parents to please do join our school, have an inquiry on our school, and yes, we welcome.
Got it. And before we wind up, there are two things that I particularly wanted to know. In case of a parent whose kid is studying in a different curriculum, be it IGCSE or ICSE, how smooth or difficult do you think this transition into IB is going to be?
See, as I said, in almost all the curriculums and other curriculums apart from IB and in traditional schools, they focus a lot on just knowledge and content and things like that. So, but when a student comes from any other curriculum to IB, we as facilitators, we do first make them comfortable. We make them feel safe here at school. The teacher student relationship is, I cannot express how warm and how comfortable the students feel here. So we just want the students to speak up to the teacher. That's when we can actually help them, right? So if a student do not speak, then we do not know what exactly the problem is. And when you're talking about the IB transition, I have myself faced a number of students who have been coming from CBSE and ICSE and state board curriculums here. And I have seen the change, the students who are actually interested, they find IB so interesting. And I just have to tell them what are the different criterias. And, they just go with the flow. So we do have teachers supporting them in every manner. So we do have a small kind of a bridge program where, the teachers do facilitate them and explain them just what are the criterias. And as I said, they do not have to memorize anything. We focus more on building skills, and every single assessment we give, or any task we give, or even the PBA, every single task ensures that students develop skills. So that is the main objective behind every assessment we give or every task we give. So I have literally seen students, they just embrace IB. So recently, I would like to share an experience. We had a student. She was from state curriculum. And believe me, it just took her 1 week. Okay. And I can already see her shining. So she literally came to me and she asked, "This is what it is. And is this how I'm supposed to do?" I said, "Yes." And, just a little guiding thoughts from the facilitator to the student. And it's definitely not a rocket science, but students embrace this IB pedagogy.
Great, ma'am. And finally, for those parents who are looking for an admission at Sharanya Narayani International School, what's the procedure like? What time of the year do you think they should reach and approach you guys?
So, as I said, we do welcome students at any point of time in the year. So, we warmly welcome them. So, the parents can definitely reach out to us on our website, or we do have our contact number as well in our website. So, parents can do reach out to us. If the
And
parents, have been shifted, maybe they're from any other country, and they would want to have an international curriculum for their students, then this is the place.
that's great, ma'am. Thank you so much. All this information will definitely be of some help for parents who are looking for good schools in and around the Whitefield. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir.